Good afternoon, fellow YouTube followers. We were going to show the events of January 9th this weekend, but I elected to go with the autopsy results on that deer that we harvested on the 10th. On the onset, this is all I could find of that arrow. And I searched the area and searched it and searched the body cavity, and I could not find it. With the help of Deb, we found it, and I'm going to share that with you right now. So sit back and enjoy, and I think everyone in this crowd will learn something from this. You hear that? That's the other end of that broad-headed arrow. You seen when I picked this part of the shaft of the arrow up, it hit that tree and snapped it off. It traveled this way. That's why the deer lost its legs out from underneath of it. And when you look right there's the culprit. That's the other 10 inches going backward. And we'll get my knife here, clean this out. This was a wound channel. There's the end of it. There's that other 10 inches of arrow that we were looking for. And it entered, get this out of the way, don't need those fingers. Anyhow, the arrow is right there. There's the other half of the arrow. And we're pulling that broadhead out for the first time, going backward. That's why its rear legs dropped out from underneath of it. It hit the artery, main artery running through the legs, and bled to death instantly. As you've seen, it took very little. I thought it hit the spine, but actually it traveled in that direction right there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a lesson that you'll never learn anywhere else other than the non-typical Norwalkian's laboratory. You won't see this on Saturday morning cartoon shows. You won't see it on 24/7. That is something to take to the field. You never know when you launch that arrow how it's going to do. I hope that's a learning lesson for you, because my channel is to teach. I don't care about my personality. I got a real job. I don't have to sell baloney or gimmickry or technology. This is real bow hunting right here. That's what I'm selling. And I hope you all benefit from this. So that's it from the non-typical Norwalkian's laboratory with my assistant, Deb. Since when does a metal detector come into play when you're field dressing a deer, other than in my world, the non-typical world? Later. Here's what they call muzzy 3-grade blade, 100 grain, bad to the bone for. Here's the socket off the femur bone of that deer. That's why its left leg broke. You can see that's completely busted, that bone. So we're going to take that out of there. As that went through, it cut the femur artery also. That's why that blood really came in at this angle, blasted the top of that bone right off. And it did some really devastating stuff in there to this bone. You won't believe this. This is actually coming out. It's no wonder that deer, you seen how fast it went down in the field. And when like I said, I can't emphasize that advertisement for muzzy. There's part of that bone. It just shattered it. We're taking this bone out right in front of you, out of the left rear ham. And it was completely shattered. That's a big bone. That's the femur bone, and it's just unbelievable. It cut the ball, as you can see, right off of it. Shattered the bone. This would have been part of it over there. All with this little 100-grain muzzy. It really devastated that. Do a post-mortem autopsy on it. You'll learn a lot from that. Here's the other socket in here. Being a little persistent about getting out. And we'll get all that meat off that bone, put it back together. Anyhow, fellow bow hunters, this is that rear femur bone, the left femur bone. You can see it broke the socket right off. There's several pieces of bone in there. It just shattered that femur bone. All done with this 100-grain muzzy. Not to say other broadheads couldn't do the same. I'm just saying that was a devastation that setup has. When you're shooting that in your backyard, you don't understand how much power you actually have. But that's the main culprit right there. Is what killed that deer. Broke its left leg. You seen it dragging it in the video. And I can't emphasize it. It was not a good shot on my part. I don't know. Cold. Rushed it, whatever. But this is what got it done, and this is what came out of its left rear ham. A high-end archer, we all know quite well, Chuck Adams, stated that he never lost a ham shot deer because of the femur artery running down its back leg, and neither have I. They're very deadly if you do hit them there, and they go down real fast. Not the shot you really practice for, but as you can see, it's pretty devastating. Well, that had me dumbfounded. I couldn't find it. I looked in there and I had no idea, but you've seen it firsthand how this was the other part of that arrow, and this is what made it up right there. And I had metal detectors. But anyhow, this was the left side femur, and this was the right side femur of the same deer. Now, it literally blew this femur. When that arrow came in, it came in right basically through there, the best I can tell. And in doing so, I got this all taped together. It completely blew the ball off, as you've seen. These are like a jigsaw when you try to put them back together, by the way. It shattered this bone, the femur bone, into 9 separate pieces. And that's what I say. I enjoy sharing my mistakes and my successes right along with you. I mean, it split these bones up big time. There's 9 pieces of femur bone there. We can count them, if I can still count the 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Got one more somewhere. Oh, there it is. It's right here. This would peel this off. I'm going to hate myself when I have to tape all this back together. took a while. But so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pieces of bone shattering, bad to the bone, 100 grain muzzy. Femur bone. Now, when that hits, that femur artery runs right down the back of that entire leg. And when that shattered it, it broke that artery, and the blood, as you've seen, was immense. That traveled, I believe like 15 yards before it succumbed to death. In the past, I shot another buck, unfortunately, in the rear ham, but this was at the bottom of the femur, and that was with a 160 grain thunderhead, and it basically did the same thing. It took a big piece of the bone out, and I'll go up through here. It's winter time, so I got all kinds of time to put this back together. I'm just trying to show you the devastation that these broadheads pack when they seem so innocent when you're shooting them into a foam target. When they hit something, they do a lot of devastation. I was one big piece of the lower femur, and boy, I'm gonna hate myself having to put this back together. There was 2 pieces, and it really puts a whack on them. But I want to show you this so we can all learn together, because this is going to happen to the best of the best sooner or later. If you're in archery long enough, it's going to happen to you, unfortunately. And there would have been another full piece of bone plus a little piece of fragment. So we had, that one was broke down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of fragmentation of rear femur bone. This particular deer here, it took 2 days to recover, and at the time I recovered it, it was still alive, but it was bleeding internally. So, like I said, that artery runs right down the back. It's not a shot you practice, but it's a deadly shot, as you've seen. So, I hope you learned something from that, and we can all move forward. They put out an immense amount of blood, as you've seen on the video. So that's it. Hope you learned something, and we'll get that January 9th footage out here in the near future. But I think this was more important on the impact of a 100 grain muzzy on a rear femur bone. Well, that's it from the Non-Typical Norwalkian.